This one isn't going to be so much informational as this, at least not when it comes to engines itself, is more is going to be like informational on a check on yourself. So I made a video like around 3 or so years ago about a tip for engine building beginners, right? This is kind of something similar along those lines. And I know there's just plenty of people who've clicked on that and they're like, this isn't for building engines, and they're like, fuck you, and put a thumbs down. And then there's some other people who clicked on it and they got it, they understood it. And so again, along those lines, this is something I've been stewing on for the last couple of days. Like, if you watch my Facebook the other day, I posted that I don't know what's more aggravating. Somebody that doesn't Karen Logic. That reminds me, Karen Logic, right? So I mentioned that, Karen Logic. And what I meant is like somebody who doesn't really know what the fuck they're talking about. They just repeat the things that they've heard other people say or what they think that just should be said in that moment. Like when you like, what's appropriate for me to say so I don't sound like a fucking retard, and then say that confidently, like they're teaching you something. And I was just like, it aggravates me because it's like I know what I need to do. Just give me the information I'm asking for, and I'll make my decision, and then I'll tell you what I'm going to do based on that decision. I don't need you to give me a rundown. So it's dealing with those kind of people, or dealing with the people who find me posting, and then they add me as a friend. And then immediately proceed to hit my DMs telling me how they're a big fan, they've watched everything I do, and then proceed to ask me a whole bunch of questions that I've covered a million times. I've got like almost 600 videos at this point. You haven't watched all my shit. And that's fine. I don't care. But there is a nature of repetitiveness in the things that I do. So it's not an uncommon thing for me to mention something more than one time. And the worst insult to this is when you friend request me or you send me a message to talk about you've watched all my shit, and then you literally ask me something that I covered within the last week. So it's like, yeah. Flattery doesn't get me to the point where I'm going to be like, oh, well, you like me, so I'm going to give you all the information. Usually that immediate flattery warns me that you're going to ask me some shit that's dumb as fuck. And I always try to be careful about how I label dumb questions, because technically speaking, there is no such thing as a dumb question. But that also leads to what I'm going to say about this, the whole, do you really want to build engines? So, was it, one of the biggest things is, one of the biggest things I find is that there are plenty of people out there who want to overbuild. They want to invest in parts that they don't really need. Oh, I've got this power expectation, and this is what I'm planning on buying. But then they're hesitant on buying it because they don't know if it's the best thing to buy or whatever, right? First off, I'm not the guy that's going to down talk brands. I literally just posted a video the other day talking about not feeling bad about buying cheap brands. But even in that topic I mentioned, you have to understand where you can cheap out and where you can't cheap out. That's also part of understanding about building engines. You got to understand where you can go light versus where you cannot. And that goes with all kinds of research. And you're not going to come to me for me to try and pin something on me, like, because I want to buy something cheap, but I want somebody to reassure me that this is good. Even me, even if I buy it, doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be 100% good for you. There are things out there that happen for people that doesn't happen for other people. Different circumstances, scenarios, situations, all kinds of reasons, right? So if you're thinking, I want to start building engines, or you're thinking, I want to build this engine, and you're like, I want everything to be right, I don't want to spend all this money and time for it to go wrong, well, then this is probably not for you, all right? It's like a competition. Like, if you're in any kind of competition, any kind of one-on-one scenario, there's going to be a winner and there's going to be a fucking loser. And no matter how confident you are in your abilities and skills to be the winner, you can get in there and something can happen that can make you the fucking loser that time. Doesn't mean you always lose. It could be just that one night's not your fucking night, right? So you could build your first engine and be good. The next one you build, you might take an L on it. Or you could build one bad the first time, and the rest of them from there on, you build are good. Maybe. You don't know. But you're not going to know until you do it, all right? You got to be able to willing to take that risk. You have to be willing to accept that loss you're about to take. And there are plenty of cheap and easy ways around that. Very cheap and easy ways around that scenario. If you are unsure about what you're going to do with an engine build, buy a fucking single cam. Re-ring the pistons and throw new bearings. Stock overhaul. It gives you insight into an engine, gives you engine building experience, costs you next to nothing except labor. I mean, you could even cheap out. I don't buy cheap shit like that anymore because I can't. It's not so much that I can't build like that. It's just that I had to streamline. I have people ask me all the time for shit, so I have to be able to give a steady price for everybody. Making an individual price for people's budget is not something I'm willing to do anymore. So if you really want to cheap out, you can buy $22 no-name brand rings. You can buy $25 to $30 bearings that got no fucking, no recognizable brand on them and run successfully on them. I did a lot back in the days. I don't do it anymore, but that's how I started. All right. So for like $50 and a head gasket, for like $100, you can literally rebuild your engine. So if you're scared about stepping into doing a rebuild, start fucking small. Don't go big. If you have a daily driver and you're thinking about you want to rebuild that car for whatever reason, because you're too broke to fucking pay somebody to do it, ain't nothing wrong with that. But you can't be scared. Like, I'm too broke to pay somebody, but I want this engine built, so I'm gonna do it myself. No, you got to be willing to the fact that you're going to take an L on that. If that car is your daily driver, you probably fucking shouldn't do it if you're not confident in what you can do. If you're running up to a precipice and you need to make a jump to get to the other side and you hesitate for a fucking moment and you make that jump anyway, you hesitated, but you jumped, good chance you're going to come up short and you're going to fall. All right? So the thing that I covered the topic the most back in that old video for the engine building beginners is like, people don't appreciate the time and effort it goes into learning how to do this. Hours and hours of reading, hours and hours of watching videos, buying manuals. There are plenty of sources that you can choose from to learn. And the smart person will take all of those sources together and to learn. Take pieces from everything. Take everything. Don't be so quick to just ask somebody. Plus, another thing, that it bothers me, and this is the personal sin of mine, because I'm a little bit prideful, is that when they're like, oh, I'm just compiling, people's opinions, and then I'm going to make a choice. So you're going to stop what you're doing. You're going to stop whatever I'm doing in my day for me to talk to you, to have a conversation for you to not even really take my word. You just want to hear it and then go on and do it to somebody else. No. That's what YouTube is for. That's why I put all these videos up. So that way you have my opinion there. To come to watch one or two of my videos and then come and ask me, that's just a cheap way to do it too. And why does this personally bother me so much that, the people are always trying to shortcut their way to information or trying to get spoon-fed is because I didn't. I have one person that I asked and we're on friendly terms. And I still do not ask this man until I have exhausted all of my fucking other resources. I still spend time. The other day when I was doing that K24 and I rotated the shit over and I smacked it. It was obvious as fuck that it was a rod clearance to cylinder issue, that I was making contact. But I still came, sat down on this there couch right behind me at 4 o'clock in the morning, busted out this here laptop and started digging to find anybody who said that you need to cut to clear those rods. Couldn't find any. That's why I made the video, because you couldn't find any information out there. And as only one person even brought up the question, can it clear it? So, and the main reason why I searched is because I wanted to see if other people had covered it, and I just missed the information before taking my time to make a video of my own, because the information was already out there. What's the point of uploading, right? And I searched for a good while to be sure that I couldn't find it, and even on the aluminum rods. And I knew the aluminum rods needed to be cut for clearance, but I still searched on that too, just to find if there was any conversation anywhere if anybody needing to notch a K-series to run rods. So it's just it's very lazy. It's a bad habit to start when you're trying. And this goes for anything in life. It's not just engine building. It's anything that you're going to try and learn in life. If you're trying to do something new, you want to approach something new, and the first thing you can do is think to pester somebody for all their little tips and insights, you're kind of disrespecting the topic itself. And no, the flattery of, hey, I just want your opinion on it. It's, it's not for me, because it seems like the majority of people who take that time and do all that shit don't even follow through to finish their build. It gets put on the side and it gets sold or whatever like that, or it eventually gets taken to somebody to do the build. There's a lot of people that, with these memes all over the place talk about move in silence or whatnot like that, and that's a little cliche because there are times to move in silence and there's time to to fucking wave a flag and let everybody know you're coming. There's nothing wrong with that. You just gotta pick the times when you're coming up, and then when you're stepping into something new. Then it's okay to move in silence. It's only when you've had some successes, and you're on the way, then it's time to wave that flag a little bit for a little while. I've been doing the engine buildings for the better part of a decade, and also doing some reminiscing to the point where I got there, and I was in the shower this morning, and I was thinking about, there's been two mechanics in my life that I hung around. One in the very beginning when I first popped my race cherry. There was a guy I met that did swaps. He had a little Honda shop, and I hung around there a lot. And then another guy, when I got to El Paso, I hung around a lot. I was a shop rat. I didn't ask questions. I just enjoyed being in the environment, and I watched. I shut the fuck up and I looked and I watched and I paid attention. And then I was like, so what got me thinking about this is I miss that, man. I miss being a shop rat. I miss being able to hang out like that. And then I realized that's part of the reason why I do what I do, man. This is the reason why I'm surrounded by engines all the time. And every weekend I'm working on a head, I'm working on a block, regardless of whether or not I have an order or not. Even when I have no order, when I have no specific thing to do, there's still things I do to find myself keeping busy with parts. And that's because I enjoy the environment. I like being around the car action. Even though I don't like working on cars so much anymore, I like the engines. So I've built my own environment to be my own shop rat. Be my shop rat for my own shop. So again, like I said, this wasn't a super big topic on trying to teach anybody anything. This is just kind of like me talking here. Of course, it's always me talking, but just wanted to give you guys the information, a little bit of insight. If you really are that nervous that you don't think you can do this, then don't do it. If not, stop being a fucking bitch about it and just fucking do the job. It's not that hard. I mean, I've spent plenty of time on the channel already, hours of engine building for you guys to see. There's a fucking old playlist I haven't updated forever that you can go and watch me build engines. Of course, the more power you're throwing down, the more precise you need to be, and then there's a little bit more things involved. But at the end of the day, bro, you can get by with not being so super crazy about it. Of course, not throwing any shade, but there's a certain somebody with a high profile who's having piston to valve contact, and that was some measurements that need to be taken there that weren't. But four piston Luke likes to, I've heard him say it more than one time, that you don't just throw together a 1,000 horsepower engine. But I mean, you almost kind of can. The mistake that the mistake that was made there by a certain somebody was a small mistake, and it really could have been taken care of with one measurement that wasn't taken, and that's all that was. So at the end of the day, that really wasn't that big a deal. So don't hype up your own fear of failure, man. Just fucking do it. And if you do fail at something, it's not that big a deal. You learn from it and do it again. And if you're looking at this thing, if you're looking at your situation for building an engine and you only do it, if you're thinking to yourself, I just want to do this one, then don't. Because you're doing it for the wrong reasons. You're trying to do it because you're trying to save money. Be patient. Find somebody who can do the work for you and do it that way. You don't have to come to me, but if you're trying to build on a budget, I can help you out with that. I can help get you a fucking engine that's not going to cost you $1 million. I'm willing to work with you on your budget if you're willing to take payments on it, stuff like that. But if you're only doing the one-off engine build because you don't want to pay somebody money, then don't. Or like I said earlier, stop being a fucking bitch and just do it. If you must find a way to do something that's gonna, as a warm-up, then buy a little single cam or buy a B18 or a B20 that's selling it for pennies on the dollar and do a build that way so it doesn't cost you very much money and you can have it done. And then you can see that it's not that really that big a deal, and then you can start doing other shit. But yeah, so this isn't a job that you want to get involved in just because you're trying to save some money. This is something you want to do if you really got the passion about cars like that. Not everybody can do this shit, and it's because of things like that. And mainly the reason why I say a lot of people can't do this shit is because you don't have the work ethic. And there's nothing wrong with that too. Like, I can't build houses, and it's not because I can't do it. It's because I have no fucking desire to do it at all. You know, my dad tried to force me to build houses with him when I was a kid, and I was like, "Fuck you, Dad, I ain't doing it." And he's like, "Oh, fuck you, you lazy piece of shit." And then later on, he's complimenting me. He's like, "It's good to see the son that you did take after me. After all, you are serious about your work, and you do work with your hands. You build engines. You know, you can't. Everybody has their own niche." If you know, and I appreciate the people who are more honest about that. Like, hey, bro, you know, if you want, you can do this yourself. Like, no, I'm good. I don't want to do it. Don't make excuses for why you can't do it. Oh, I don't have the right tools, which is the biggest fucking joke ever, and I hear all the time. You know, it's don't make excuses. If you don't want to do it, hey, engine building is not for me. You want to do this build for me, or you go to somebody else and you have them do the build. But you know, if you're dancing around this whole topic for money, it's not for you. Don't do it. All right, guys. So that's it. Social media links, like always, are in the description down below. And peace. Thanks for watching this one. Like, if you guys got to the end of it, I appreciate all you guys that managed to get to the end of my shit. You know, and I know because I can see analytics and those people don't watch very much. Peace.